Hello, this is AstroKrys from CodaQueenAstrology, and today's video is a discussion I had with my colleague Tamerri, Astrofashionista, in regard to love and relationship. So it's all about relationship astrology and also the upcoming energy that we're receiving for the new Venus star cycle. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below. I'm also going to be plugging in Tamerri's information so you can follow her as well. Thank you. Enjoy. How are you?
Good. Happy Friday. Happy pre-full moon.
Yes. Venus Friday. Love it.
Yeah, Venus Friday.
I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you guys for being here. So we'll get started to get this room started quickly. I'm AstroKrys from CodaQueenAstrology. I'm a professional astrologer. I also teach astrology. So welcome if you're new.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tamerri, and I'm a professional astrologer as well, and also the Senior Director of Product Development for a skincare brand, really using my Venus in the 6th house, which we're going to talk about. Venus, we always talk about love topics, but specifically Venus today. And Chris and I met at a retreat in Bulgaria a couple years ago, and we hit it off. We were both born the same year. So I think we have a lot of similarities in terms of, our love for astrology, and we're super excited and stoked to share that with you all.
Yes. I know it was such a coincidence. We were like the only ones here from over there from LA area, and we were both born in the same year. We're like, something's going on, because we were just so fascinated with astrology, and our story is so similar. How we started studying astrology very young, and it wasn't just that, it was a lot of other things that we got into, and it was just like fascinating to meet someone else that has the same interests. So thank you guys. Thank you Tamerri for sharing that. I love that. So we're talking about Venus, because right now she's doing some cool things in the sky. So there's such a thing called a Venus star point, because Venus actually, the way she dances with the sun and earth, on Earth's perspective, how we can see her shine in the sky, she creates a flower, and within this flower there's points, and within that flower there's a star. So it's like a pentagram star, right? That's what the star shape.
Yeah, the number 5. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's some zodiac signs that are specifically being activated with this point. They shift slightly over the years, but right now I know the stars being formed in Aries, Gemini, Leo, Scorpio, and Capricorn. But prior to that, it's been in other signs too. And wherever we have these points, Venus there gets reborn. It's a new cycle of love, money, everything that Venus rules. So it's really important in love, because when Venus goes underworld, so she's technically invisible. When she's invisible, not in the sky, that's what they mean by underworld. We can't see her in the sky. She's getting reprogrammed. But at the same time, it's like losing hold of everything she controls, which is love, money. So those areas are going to tend to suffer a little. They can still keep it together, but you'll see that areas that Venus rules, they start to suffer the longer she's gone. And she starts this process by going underworld for 60 days, and we're halfway through it. So in the halfway point, that's when she forms that star.
And I love you explaining all of this. And also, if Venus is strong in the night sect, so if you're born at night, that's the sect that she rules. And she's bright in the sky when she's visible, and she's about to be reborn. So even in your own chart, if you guys know if you were born at night or day, you can kind of see if Venus is of her sect and if she's strong. Now, there's a lot of other things that have to be taken into account to see the strength of a planet, and the planets perform the action in the charts. So the signs aren't really that, they're just the backdrops. The planets are the things that do the action. So that's what they do and where they're strong and how they act are implicated by a lot of different things. So Venus being in her sect, nighttime, would be important. Another thing is, if you want to look up quickly, if you were born with a Venus as a evening star or a morning star, if your Venus, let's say so I'm a Taurus, but my Venus is in Aries, so Venus never travels more than like 48 degrees away from the sun. So I was born with Venus as a morning star because she's at an earlier zodiac sign than my sun sign. So that's an easy way to tell. If it's after, then she was an evening star, and that has implications on how you show up in relationships as well. The other thing is, if it's in the same sign or super close, you'll have to look at the actual degrees. But that gives you a lot of indication of how you show up in your relationships too, because, you know, if you're born with Venus as a morning star, then you might be someone that's a little bit more impulsive in the way you act in relationships. In evening, which is her sect, you might actually take longer. But once you get attached, it's hard for you to detach because you're kind of a lover of love. She's in her sect. She's where she feels comfortable. And I quickly looked up, because I was like trying to think about all the people that we're familiar with in terms of celebrities that have these relationships that are, you know, they're kind of notorious for being in relationships. So I looked up Halle Berry, Kim Kardashian, and Jennifer Lopez, and they all were born with Venus as a morning star, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah. Because those people actually they keep going, they keep trying, you know, so they might jump into it, but once that's over, they'll jump into another thing. So I thought that was an interesting thing, and it'd be funny to look at all the types of relationships with other celebrities. I feel like it's always good to look at those. So.
Oh yeah, they can give us a lot of examples. And that Venus morning star acts more masculine. She's associated with Pallas Athena. Even though there's an asteroid for Pallas Athena, her phase itself is more masculine. So that's why it's more go-getting, like you said. Like most celebrities that have this strong morning star Venus in their chart are going to act like go-getting Venuses, because they're utilizing more of the strategic side, expressing like their needs and desires that way, versus like being very sensual and laid back, which is the evening star qualities. Did you look up some evening star celebrities?
Let's see. I want to look up someone that has like, they pretty much have been with the same person. What, Goldie Hawn?
Most celebrities aren't.
Exactly. Maybe this isn't a good example. You know who would be Angela Bassett.
Okay.
So let's look at her, because she's.
Yeah.
I looked at her and her husband's chart for a while. I'm just curious now that we're.
Yeah.
Okay, so Angela Bassett has her Venus in Leo.
Okay.
And her sun is also in Leo, though. Well, so she also is a morning star Venus. Interesting enough, but it's in the same sign.
Yeah.
So
is it combust?
Yeah, it's not combust. It's at 1 degree Venus, and then her sun's at 23. 1 degree Leo, and then her sun's at 23 degrees Leo.
Okay, so, yeah. So it's pretty strong still. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's a difference in between that phase too. When Venus is very close to the sun, she's under the command of the sun, but depending on what zodiac sign. So if Venus, just say Venus is like the month prior, we had Venus in Pisces and the sun in Pisces. Venus is actually stronger than the sun because she's exalted. So even when she gets closer to the sun, then we see the sun suffering more than Venus, because the king's not really in a sign or placement that he's able to utilize correctly. But Venus is exalted. But now this time around, we're having the sun in Aries that's exalted, and Venus in Aries that's in detriment. So the sun's having control. So it's very interesting how they kind of left that dynamic. And you can see the way that you're going to be in relationships depending on your Venus phase. I have a morning star Venus, and I actually like pursued my husband. Like, I knew him, but I pursued him like, oh, that's the person I want to date. So I wasn't like too masculine about it, but I placed myself near him. You know, like I kind of did little subtle things because it's still a Venus in Pisces. But I knew that's what I wanted. So I made myself known. And the other evening star Venus, I've noticed it's way more subtle and way more romantic, I think, too. Do you know of anyone that, because a lot of the people that I know have morning star Venus, do you know of anyone that has the evening star?
Not off the top of my head, but it'd be interesting to see people that are in the chat today, if we could figure theirs out and see how, if it resonates and if it shows up for them, or how it plays out in their life. That'd be an interesting exercise.
Yeah, we can pull some up. And another thing that I wanted to talk about that I thought was very interesting is, so the actual Cazimi, meaning that's when the sun and Venus or any other planet, so the sun and Venus got together, was yesterday. They're still very close in proximity right now, so the phase is about to end. But sorry, my son distracted me. He was opening the door. So when Venus went in Cazimi, this is where Venus is very, very strong, and it formed that point already. And the moon was in Virgo, or is still currently in Virgo, because we're about to have a full moon in Libra, and Venus is going to rule that full moon, but she will still be very close to the sun when there is a full moon, in addition to being close to Chiron, which I actually really loved because that's time to heal. It's starting a new cycle. Whenever the sun and Venus get together, she gets reprogrammed. She's in the underworld. She's about to be reborn again. And once we see her visible, which she's actually going to be born in the sign of Taurus, and that's her domicile sign. So that's actually really good, because after she leaves the sun, we still can't see her in the sky. When we first see her, she's actually going to be in the sign of Taurus. So that's what we call Venus being born. But right now, she's going to be in charge of that full moon in Libra, at bringing in the qualities of Libra, of harmonizing, in addition to being near to the sun and Chiron. So I kept on getting like healing energy, lots of healing energy, especially from the self to others, like anything that's involving healing you, and also healing past things like relationships or circumstances that you've been carrying that are not helping you anymore. And it's also healer energy. So this is a time for a lot of healers to start kind of coming out and saying, hey, I'm a healer. This is really what I want to do. This is really, because it's a rebirth of Venus. So I don't know if you have some insight on on the Libra moon, because I know you do YouTube videos and things like that. I don't know if you prepped for that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I wrote the word release. Like, to me, that's what the full moon is about. And release, particularly in the area of relationships, it doesn't even only have to be romantic, because Venus rules relationships of all type. But I think, with Chiron there and sandwiched between the sun and Venus, it is about letting things go. And there's actually a grand trine happening that day with the moon in Libra, Saturn in Aquarius, and the North Node and Mars in Gemini. And these are air signs. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost about letting go old thought patterns, mm-hmm. things that hold you back. Like, this is a great time for releasing that, especially in regards to relationships, since it's about Libra and the moon. Another thing is Venus is being disposited on by Mars. And Mars ends things. It cuts things away that don't need to be there. Mm-hmm. So that's another, and then Mars is also in Gemini, so that's another indicator. Like, for us to get where we want to go, North Node conjunct Mars, we need to sever what doesn't serve us anymore mentally. So I know a lot of people, you know, the first thing about leaving a relationship that's bad or finding a partner, it's your mindset. Like anything that we want to accomplish in this world has to start with our mindset. And so to me, that Sunday full moon is about getting your mindset right and releasing, so that when Venus is reborn, you can make better decisions and hopefully move into a successful partnership or in one that has been holding you back.
Or improve the one that you're in, because it could be that
Totally.
too. Because you can change the patterns that you currently have to make them more healthier on, you know, both ends. But something that you mentioned when you were talking about that, I lost it. It had to do with there we go, with Mars. So Mars, what I found interesting is actually activating the last Venus point we had, which was in Gemini last year, and Venus went retrograde over that point. So the North Node and Mars are also activating that same exact degree. Like they're literally like 2 degrees off. And when I look at that, I'm really seeing something coming from back at that time, which was around June of 2020. So what happened then? How was your mindset then? What is it that you were thinking of, or what you were experiencing? Because Venus is forming another point in Aries right now, but her last point that she formed in Gemini is also being activated by her dispositor, which is Mars now. So I found that interesting. I was like, wow, oh, okay.
Yeah, that is interesting. I can't even remember what was going on in June, though. I barely remember 2 weeks ago. Like, look at a journal or something.
Okay, cool. So if anyone wants to come up and we can look to see if you have a morning Venus or a evening star Venus, let us know. You could raise your hand and we'll bring you up on stage. Or if you want to share anything in regard to how you're feeling, any questions. Okay, we have a few people.
We love to look at people's Venuses and just get insight. This is the relationship area for y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I have a lot of Venus in my chart. Kayla, you need to mute your
I got it.
thank you.
I got it.
Okay, so yeah, I have a lot of Venus. I have a Venus rising. I mean, a Libra rising, and I have Venus in Libra.
Okay.
And I have Jupiter in Libra.
Okay.
And the Venus and Jupiter are in my first house, but I also have Uranus in my first house, which makes for an interesting mix of energy, because although I have all of these strong Venus placements, I have this Uranus with Venus and Jupiter in my first house. And so it's kind of like, even though it adds a bit of unpredictability to my relationships and the way things can change suddenly, it's still kind of, because the Uranus is in Libra, it's kind of as if, you know, even the people who I no longer deal with in the same way, we're still cool to a degree. It's almost as if no one really hates me in a way. Nobody, even people, you know, female relationships that, you know, have ran their course, they always kind of maintain a certain level of friendship with me, if that makes any sense. So when you said whether you have a morning or evening Libra, I'm born at 3:22 in the morning, so that would be morning. Is that what you guys are referring to?
That would be the night set. So Venus is strong in the night set before the sun rises. But to know that if you're a morning or evening Venus, we'd have to look at the exact degree of your Venus. Since yours are your Venus is in the same sign. Wait, what's your sun sign though?
My sun sign is Scorpio.
Oh, okay. So then Libra, you're a
Morning star.
Venus.
Yeah, morning star. And what does that mean? So it's not necessarily the time that you were born in the morning. No, it's literally the day. So even though, just say you're not born yet, your mother's still pregnant with you because you're born at 6 p.m. that day. We look at the chart. So we're looking at who's rising. And when it's a morning star Venus, you see her rising before the sun. So right before the sun rises, and it's still like twilight, like it's what is it, dawn, right? You'll see Venus in the sky, and that's called a morning star because you see the star in the morning. So versus an evening star, you'll see the star of Venus in the afternoon when the sun sets, and that Venus is following the sun. But when you have a morning star Venus, your Venus actually is leading the sun, meaning I open the door first, sun, and then you come after me. So that's why your Venus becomes stronger, more like masculine energy, that Pallas Athena energy, because it's leading the sun versus letting be led by the sun. So if you had your Venus in the sign of Sagittarius, we can solidly say it's an evening star. Why? Because the sun rises first and then Venus comes after. But in your case, Venus is actually rising before your sun, so it's a morning star. I hope that makes sense.
That's because my sun sign is Scorpio.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Exactly. And it's not because your sun sign is Scorpio. We could like easily say it's easier because if you were to have a Libra sun, then we need to look at the exact degrees. So if your Venus is in like at 2 degrees Libra and your sun is at 23 degrees Libra, then they're both in the same sign. So who's rising first? And it's that 2 degree mark. So Venus is at 2 degrees, so it's coming before the Libra sun at 23. So that's how we can differentiate from the morning and the evening. It's the degrees.
And also, not to confuse everyone, so there's 2 different concepts we're talking about. Venus as a morning star and an evening star, but we're also talking about the sect that Venus is the strongest in. So sect meaning day or night. Mm-hmm. In traditional astrology, Venus is stronger at night. And so that's kind of what you were talking about, true. So since you were born before the sunrise, Venus is the greater benefic in your chart. So when you look at Jupiter and Venus as the benefics, Venus is going to be the one typically that's stronger. Now your Venus is strong because it's in her own sign of Libra. Mm-hmm. And you also are Libra rising, Jupiter and Libra. So Libra, yes, is definitely an important planet in your chart. If we're looking at whole sign, then she rules both, or Jupiter rules both your 3rd and your 6th. So even, what do you do for a living, by the way, for day-to-day work? Oh, he went mute.
True.
True. Anyway, I guess I wanted to look at what looking at Jupiter, since you have Venus Jupiter and Libra as well. Venus dispositing on that Jupiter, kind of looking for other keys of how she shows up in your life. But she's driving the car of your life. Venus, mm-hmm. Everything that you do will be approached from a diplomatic standpoint about relationships. You even mentioned that people don't hate you, which is a great thing after mm-hmm. even you guys break up. You're just a person who comes across as charming and pleasurable, and you probably like to dress nice and present yourself a certain way. Venus in the 1st is very about, can be great. If it's not physical beauty, it's someone who presents well and people just like them. So yeah, I think Venus in your chart seems to be very strong without us seeing everything else.
Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I don't know what happened. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, it does make sense. I've always felt like Venus was very strong in my chart until I recently started looking into sidereal astrology, and then it kind of pushed me back a little bit, so that Venus actually became my sun sign, and then it's still, I still have Venus and Jupiter in my first house, but everything kind of switched up, but it still was like Venus was still prominent, and I went from being a Scorpio to a Libra. I can actually see some of those influences too, but I do think essentially the tropical astrology is probably the most effective in terms of really honing in on everything.
Yeah, I think it's good for people to study both, because in sidereal or in the Vedic system, that more emphasis is put on the moon anyway, and houses. So I find that they both end up being accurate, just like Placidus and whole sign can both be accurate. But it kind of depends on what you kind of resonate with more. So yeah, that's a good thing to bring up too.
And that's funny because actually Tamerri and I, we actually have a pretty badass, well, at least I do, chart in sidereal. I have Jupiter in Sagittarius. You get me? And it's like, oh, I'll take it, but I'm not experiencing that. That's not the path I experienced. So I totally get studying both because I was curious, and I still continue, but it's not something that resonates with me. And this is why I decided to be a tropical astrologer, because I feel like my chart now talks more about my life, but I wish I did have those placements that sidereal is bringing up, but that's not how my life is playing out. I don't know. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, all the planets are exalted in my sidereal chart, and they're all detriment. Well, not all of them, I'm being dramatic, but it definitely seems like an easier. I mean, but that's a thing. Also, dignity and debility are those can be seen as, sometimes debilitated planets are stronger, I feel like, in the long run for people. So sometimes having too much of a good thing isn't actually good in your astrology chart when you're looking at overall success of your life path. So that's why it's so good. That's why we have these forums, to have these types of discussions. I love it. We can talk about this all day, but I know we don't have all the time in the world, so I guess we'll move on to the next person. Thanks, True, for sharing that with us, though.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Take care. Okay, so I think it was either Anna or Kayla. Sorry, I'm so bad with enunciation. You guys can correct me. I will not mind.
It's Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla.
Well, mine is actually similar to True, so it's probably pretty close.
Okay.
Like almost really, probably almost the same thing. Because I'm 3:31 a.m. and I'm a Scorpio. So, but I've had long-term relationships.
What about your Venus? Where's your Venus at? What's your Venus degree and sign?
26, I think. And my sign is a Scorpio.
So Venus is 26 Scorpio, and your sun is what time? What degree?
Venus is 26, I think, in Libra.
Okay.
And then my sun sign is Scorpio at 28.
Okay. Yeah, then that's a morning star Venus. That's a morning star Venus because it's rising before the sun. It's leading the sun. So it's a stronger Venus. You can, even with a morning star Venus, you can still have a long-term relationship. You're just going to be more of an alpha woman. More independent in that sense where you speak your mind. It's not as laid back and sensual as the evening star women, and there's nothing wrong with that. They just like to express themselves a little more subtle versus the morning star. It's more like to the point. So I've been I've been married for about 12 years. We've been together for 15 years. So I've been in a committed relationship for a long time, and I have a morning star Venus. So you can still be in a committed relationship.
Okay.
And what's your rising sign, Kayla?
My rising, I think it's Libra.
Okay, so same as True. So you're
the exact same thing.
Wow.
Okay. And your moon, and where's your moon?
My moon's in Taurus.
Oh, so you're a Venus all over. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, love and relationships definitely a focus in your lifetime, and beauty, and just being pleasurable, and like that to you will probably be what you equate with success. You know, like we all have our own idea of what success is. So I would say that's very important to you.
Yeah, that's at the very top.
Well, I find it amazing when we do these talks. Like, we'll get like a bunch of people that have like Aries rising, and then like Scorpio sun right now.
Every time there's like 5 people with the same thing. That's so true.
Yeah, last week we had Virgo Venuses. Like, every single person's like, oh, I have a Virgo Venus too. And it was like, oh, that's interesting, because everyone that raised their hand was Virgo Venus. So let's see all the other Venus placements. I'm so curious. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you.
And Anna?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Working still. Yeah. Well, you have my chart, and Mary has my chart as well. But I'm pretty sure I'm like night Venus or something like that. So I really describe what you just said, like crazy romantic. That's kind of my thing.
Let me see. So your Venus is at, I think it was at 4 degrees, right? 4 degrees. And then your sun is at what? What is your Pisces sun?
I should remember. Like, you want to know the degrees?
Yeah, because that's how we can tell. But I think off the top of my head, you have a morning star. You have a morning star Venus.
Well, the one that I have here is 24. Pisces, 24 degrees.
So your sun is at 24 degree Pisces?
Mm-hmm.
And your Venus?
21.
21 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a morning star. Venus is still ahead, but you have a combust Venus. Venus is very close to the sun. That means that it's getting reprogrammed, very close to the sun, about to form a point. So Venus gets weakened by the sun at that point. So you can feel like less qualities of that morning star Venus, because it's very close to the sun, 3 degrees away.
Oh yeah, we talk about it. Remember.
Mm-hmm.
Something that the sun was burning my Venus.
Yeah.
Like, oh, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you might have to sacrifice a like creative, or it might feel like you never have harmony between like what you're trying to express and your relationship sometimes. I think that gets better with time as you gain more confidence, and but in your younger years, it might feel like you're having to choose between your expression and your love life.
Mm-hmm. Your values. Your values.
Yeah,
can...
very much like the values.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had a really long relationship with just the one. But now I'm like getting into the values type of thing.
Yes.
Thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome, Anna. Okay, cool. Let me see. My connection keeps on saying poor connection. I hope you guys can hear me, because it goes in and out. Nadine? Okay, cool.
Hi, greetings. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning.
Yes. Thank you. It's good.
Nadine, I think we've seen you before. Welcome back.
Yes.
Oh, have you? Oh. Good to be back. My Venus is 12 degrees Aries. My Sun is 28 degrees Pisces. And I'm a 0 degrees Ascendant Virgo. So my second and my 9th house are ruled by Venus. And interestingly enough, today, Venus and the Sun are conjunct Natal Venus. So, yay.
Your Venus return.
No, today the transits, Venus, Sun is conjunct Venus in Aries, which is also conjunct my natal Venus, not quite conjunct it's not a Venus return just yet, a few more days till that.
Oh yeah, because it's only at 8 degrees. Oh, it's not even 8 yet. Sunday it'll be at 8 degrees. Okay, cool.
Oh wow. So your Venus is actually a evening star Venus, because it's in Aries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your Sun is in Pisces. So
Yes.
the Sun actually is rising before. Wait. I'm trying to move the chart in my head.
Yeah, you're right.
It is, right? It's rising before. I'm going my
It gets so confusing.
Yes.
It really
Go right.
Yeah, it does get confusing when you're like thinking about all degrees, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I turn the dial in my head. I'm like, okay, go back to the rising time. So yeah, your Sun rises before your Venus, so you're expressing the evening star Venus, which is actually really good for your Venus because it's already in Aries, so it's in a sign that's, not preferred by Venus. So connecting to the Aphrodite archetype of Venus as an evening star makes your Venus in Aries a little bit more sensual. So like Tamerri mentioned, the sign is like the role that the planet has to play, but the planet is stronger than that sign. So because it's in a sensual phase, then you're going to be expressing more of that, which is love, creativity, and, just having everything aesthetic around you, yourself, your surroundings, activating all the senses. So I think it's a good phase for that Venus, and happy Venus return. This full moon's probably going to be very meaningful for you.
Yeah, where the money resides.
Wait, where's your Mars, Nadine? What sign and house? Yeah.
Mars is Cancer. It's in Cancer.
Okay. Yeah, and Venus is also strong in your second house. Oh no, you're Virgo rising. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. It's in Libra. It's an opposition, so it's in the 8th house.
My second house is Libra.
Yeah. I was thinking it was Aries from that Pisces Sun, but from the perspective of your Sun, it's activating your second house. From the perspective of your ascendant, it's activating your 8th house, which is still a money house. So that's good.
Well, today I did a ritual and I cast other people's money. So I played the lottery. Yeah, I'm just getting ready to receive.
Yes. Love it.
And the only thing I wanted to add, so Mars is in Cancer, he's in fall. So you've had some mistakes along the way, in regards to love, and possibly about, maybe acting in the way, maybe due to your own actions, but I'm sure over time you've learned to become wiser as we get older, and leading to our Saturns. But yeah, I'm sure you've had some struggles along the way. Oh yeah.
I wish I was just at my Saturn return. I'm in my 40s.
Yeah, so I'm sure you've learned a lot of lessons along the way, emotional lessons.
Certainly.
Yeah, the connection's bad for me. I feel like it's going in and out. I really apologize for that because I only heard some of that.
Oh no, I think
I can hear you okay. Nadine, is there anything else you want to add?
Certainly.
Nadine, can you hear me?
Not really.
Huh.
I was more interested in the current transit.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It is going in and out, but I don't know if it's the Clubhouse or if it's actually our phones. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, thank you so much,
I
Nadine.
think but thank you guys. Much love to you all.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Okay, so I won't get confused. I'm going to move some people back to the audience. Thank you. And I think Andrea?
Hi, yeah, this is Andrea.
Andrea. Hi.
Hello. Nice to meet you both.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I'm very excited to learn about my chart.
Okay, cool. So tell us, where's your sun at?
So my sun is in Aquarius, my rising is in Aquarius, and my moon is in Cancer, and my Venus is in Capricorn. And what I want to run by you both is I attract a lot of Scorpios, and my hypothesis is that it's because my moon is in Cancer and my Venus is in Capricorn, but I want you both to confirm since you're the experts here.
So Scorpio actually rules your 10th house as an Aquarius rising. So when you say you attract a lot of Scorpios, do you have any planets in Scorpio?
Do I have any what with Scorpios?
Any planets in Scorpio in your chart?
I do
your
not.
House empty. Okay. So where's your Mars and Pluto?
My Mars is in Pisces, and then let me check my Pluto. Sagittarius.
Okay, so then Mars is in your 2nd house, and then Pluto is in your 11th house. So that could be it. The Pluto energy in the 11th, other people, they're like groups and stuff. What do you think, Chris? I mean, that could be one factor. We haven't seen your chart. But...
Yeah, I would have to see it, but what I can tell you is the crosses, they attract each other. So how they say opposites attract, like for you, it would be a Leo, right? Aquarius to Leo, but also the Scorpio to Taurus axis, because that's the cross that you form in your chart. Those signs form the angles of your individual chart. For someone with a different rising, it's going to be different signs. So you're getting that square up like aspect from the 10th to the 1st. So it's impacting you, and then tying in that Pluto in the 11th house, bringing people that are more like Plutonic into your life in that Scorpio. So that's probably why you're getting a lot of Scorpio energy around you. I'm a Leo rising, and I attract Scorpio people. I do have a lot of planets in Scorpio, so that's another reason. But it's my 4th house, so they make me feel at home. I have a Scorpio mother, so I'm used to the energy, and I'm used to the intensity these people bring because I was raised by one. So it just like I kind of embrace the energy. So I really think it's that square. You're used to that fixed energy from your sign. So your fixed Aquarius is attracting the fixed Scorpio. Now the true question is, are you okay with attracting this? Do you?
that part.
That part. Oh my goodness. Well, I've had a very love-hate relationship with Scorpios in my life. But one of the men that I almost fell in love with was a Scorpio, and we actually worked really well together. But it didn't end up working out because he had some alcoholism issues, and unfortunately, I was not able to support him. I tried, but he lied to me once, and I was like, not again. I can't do this. But so yeah, like I said, very love-hate relationship with Scorpios. Like, I must love them secretly because almost every man I attract is a Scorpio, and it blows my mind and it drives me nuts. So I don't know, and I attract a lot of Earth sign men as well, and that's just surprising to me as an Aquarius sun and rising.
Well, if your Venus is in Capricorn, I think that makes sense why you're attracting more of the Earth energy, and it seems like your Venus is in the 12th, right?
Let me check.
If we're looking at whole sign, if you're Aquarius, right?
Yes.
Venus would be in the 12th. So it's in a cadent house. It's falling away. So planets in cadent houses aren't as strong as they could be. And the 12th house is behind us. It's what we can't see. So there's this element of maybe attracting people and not know. I mean, you don't even know why you're attracting these people. There's something in your subconscious that you're calling in that makes them. And then that Pluto in the 11th, and Pluto is magnetism. Yeah. So, I mean, there could be a plethora of things. I think for your personality type, if you're a Sun in Aquarius and your Moon in Cancer, you already are kind of a walking contradiction because those signs are clean cuts to each other. They're, they don't share a mode or an element. And so I think the more comfortable you become with who you are and then leaning into those quirks, like, yes, you're someone that needs freedom. You like connecting with people, but you need your one person that makes you feel at home with that Cancer Moon. It's almost like leaning into that. The more you become comfortable with that, you'll just attract someone that understands that about you. I'm a walking contradiction too. All my planets, none of them, I mean, they're in fixed signs, but Aquarius, Moon, Taurus, Sun, Scorpio rising, like they all have different motivations. So the more comfortable I leaned into that, I was able to attract. My husband must be a weirdo to want to be mean to me too. So I don't know. So yeah, don't think about it. Just live and become your best self.
But
Thank you.
I really love what you said. I came to the conclusion that my Mars and my Moon are attracting this, right? That's what you said at the beginning.
Me? Yes. Yeah. Yes, because my Mars is in Pisces. My Cancer is my Moon is in Cancer, so that water. Yeah. And then my Venus is in Capricorn, so there's the Earth.
Yeah, but actually when you're with someone, your energy merges with that person, whether you stay with that person or not. So when a Scorpio comes in, it forms a water trine. So you and that other person. And I think Scorpios are a little bit controlling for you. They're going to control you because they're in your 10th house. They already get a bad rap that they're like that. I love Scorpios. But for you, because it's your 10th house, when their sun gets there, it has more control over your chart. So that's where there's that tug and pull versus someone else that has Scorpio somewhere else, not on the 10th house. Then the energy is a little bit more easier to work with, because it's not in your 10th house where it kind of tries to take over your chart in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to be your boss.
Yeah. So it's not about the Scorpio sign. It's just because you are an Aquarius rising, the 10th house is Scorpio. So an example of someone else was a Pisces rising and their 10th house is then Sagittarius. Someone with a Sagittarius sun is going to try to take over their chart because their sun goes on the top of their chart when you overlay it. So their personality tries to kind of outdo them. And with you, that Scorpio energy does that, and then it activates your Mars, which your Mars, it doesn't care if it's in the in the bottom or the top of the chart. Mars is Mars, so you kind of fight back. Right? And then your moon's you're feeling everything. It's very emotional, so it forms that trend.
Yeah. It's hard. But Tamerri, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Yeah.
You got it right on point when you said I'm a walking contradiction because I'm able to detach myself with my Aquarius and my air, but then also be so attached with my Cancer, Moon and Cancer. So
when there's a queen cut like that, one of the planets has to win out. So because they don't have anything in common, like Cancer, cardinal water, Aquarius, fixed air, right? So you're going to have to lean into, and obviously at certain points in our life, through our solar return charts, through our progressions, we start to encompass a different energy. But if a relationship is a priority to you, you're going to have to lean more into that Cancer Moon to find what you're looking for, which your Moon is what you want in the end. It's what you need. So I think your Aquarius, that's for you to become yourself, right? You're learning how to move through the world, but But when it comes to what is going to really make you happy long term, that Cancer moon is what you need to feed. So I think you need to work more on that too. And what I imagine is you in a Scorpio relationship, like Chris was saying, is that your 10th house, you going, you're not the boss of me. Like, I can just imagine you yelling that.
That's literally what I got.
And can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been feeling a lot of tension emotionally and in my love life, like literally in the past week, up until now. Does that have anything to do with, like, I know there's a full moon coming up, to add another layer of complexity, I'm on my period, so I think hormonally stuff is going on, but I would love to hear both of your insight on maybe what I've been feeling, like, why? Why?
Well, you said in regards to relationships?
Yeah, like just feeling really emotional and a lot of tension in my love life. Like I've been struggling with self-love, and like I've been thinking a lot about outside validation, and I don't know if that's literally just me being on my period or a full moon coming up or my strong Cancer moon. I don't know. Yeah,
well, what I can tell you is the moon is going to highly always influence you. Why? Because you have a moon in Cancer. So your mood is already tied into that Cancer energy, and whatever the moon does, you're feeling it. The moon is in an eclipse, you're feeling it. The moon is forming a tension aspect with a planet, you're feeling it. It's a karmic thing for you. Like, you signed up for this energy. You signed up for this archetype. I don't have planets in Cancer. But I do have a full moon. So when the moon is full, I actually feel really good. Other people don't feel that great. So with the moon itself, because you're really, really attached to that Cancer energy, whatever the moon does, no matter what sign it is, you're feeling it. And right now the moon is in, it's in Virgo right now, but it's going to be forming a full moon in Libra. And that's a cardinal sign, which squares your moon, which then brings more tension to it. So you have to follow the moon. You're a person that's going to have to follow the moon phases and be very in tune with the moon, because whatever the moon does, you're going to feel. Like for me, whatever the sun does, I feel. Because I'm a Leo rising. So if the sun is in an eclipse, something big happens in my life. So the sun always is in communication with the moon, but it's a little different style for me, because it actually hurts more of my energy, like my vitality, my creativity versus my mood. My moon is ruling my mood, which is Virgo. So I feel more of the Virgo stuff. But with you, anything the moon does is going to affect you.
Yeah, that's so true. And then also your Venus is squaring your moon. I don't know what degree your moon is at, but Venus also is in Aries, so by sign it's squaring. So that would be relationship issues. And moon makes us feel secure. Like the moon is connected to our mother, it's our instinct. So literally the moon is where you get your security from. And so if you have tension coming from Venus and the moon is going to be in Libra and you're going to get tension from that, you're going to feel it. But the good thing is that it's going to pass quickly, because this isn't like these aren't outer planets making
exactly
aspects. So just lean into it, feel your emotions. It's better to feel them as a Cancer moon. You have to feel them and work through them versus trying to, the Aquarius side of you wants to cut them off. Let yourself feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. You are queens. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Yes, I'll be back.
Thank you. Don't forget to follow us. Okay, let me see. I think it was Ashley. Yes, Ashley? Were you next?
Hi. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if my PTR came through. But I think, is this chart okay?
Interrupt you guys.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry?
I think I'm next. If you PTR, maybe I could be wrong.
Okay.
What African girl?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. Do I just give you my Venus sign, or?
Yes. Like, do you have a question, or?
I do. Actually.
Okay.
So, I personally attract a lot of Virgo men. I
probably since I was 23, and then as I look back, all of my, I'm pretty much like a free spirit. I'm pretty non-committal, just because of like what it comes with society, syndrome, not. But anyway, that's deep. When I look back, all the guys that have committed to in that next relationship, they've all been Virgos, and I didn't realize that until I got into astrology. And so I just would be open to like knowing what you have to offer about my chart placements. I'm a Gemini Sun, Aries Moon, Virgo Rising, Venus Gemini in the 10th house. I have a Gemini stellium in the 10th house actually, and I have in Eagle house I have my Moon and Mars in Aries in my 7th house ruled by Pisces. But if we're doing whole sign, it's obviously in the 8th house.
Well, your Mercury, so Mercury rules your chart in your Gemini Sun, so that makes, to me, that's the obvious mercurial energy that you're attracting, like this. It's like Mercury, when I imagine it's a lower octave, we could say, of Uranus, so that's like electricity, right? So I feel like when people have that hyper mercurial energy running through their veins, they know people that have the same energy, and that's like, they're like, I found my tribe, like I'm also, restless, and I love to think, and I love to talk, and so that's the first thing that comes to me is you being a Virgo rising, and also the Gemini Sun, and having a stellium in the 10th house, the highest part of your chart, where it's most visible in sign ruled by Mercury. Like, you're going to attract Mercury type of people. Now, whether or not that is good, because you have an Aries moon, so you're impatient and you don't have time, when you don't like someone, you'll just kind of move on to the next. It might not stick, so I don't know if that's actually the best sign for you to be dating, even if that's who you're attracting.
That's interesting. Okay.
And where's your Jupiter?
It's in Virgo.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's why you're attracting Virgo people, because technically your 7th house it needs to be activated somehow, right? That's your other partner, and because you're a Virgo rising, that's Pisces energy. But you're attracting Virgo people because you have Jupiter in Virgo, and Jupiter rules your 7th house, so it's bringing in more of that energy towards your 1st house. So you're a Virgo rising and a Jupiter in 1st house too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. Yep.
That makes sense. So how can I like work with because of that Aries, Mars, and Moon, I definitely, like, it's obvious I have in my 7th house, in my 8th house, I have conflict a lot in relationships. But it's not necessarily like it's a put off for me. It's more so like it kind of keeps the relationship alive, but how can I work with it in a more positive way than a negative way?
Where's your Mars?
It's in Aries in this 8th house.
Okay, so the Moon and Mars are together.
Right.
Okay. Well, at least Mars is in a sign that it rules. You just have a very strong personality, so you're going to have to tap into the opposite house, which is Libra. And that really takes some will, like strong will. The same thing with your stellium in Gemini. You need to soften it up, and you need to go to the other side, which is Sagittarius. So we have the ability to express the polar opposite of the sign where our planets are falling, but it takes effort. So with you, because you want to change the patterns of your moon, you need to tap into that Libra energy on the other side, and kind of get with some of those Libra qualities. So then from there you can express them. So an example, like the moon in Aries, it's quick to react, but then it easily forgives too. It's not a moon sign that holds a lot of grudges. So instead of reacting, kind of wait. So now you're going to have to learn to be more like Libra, which is what? Like weighing out the things, not speaking up right away, like trying to sense what's going on first before you answer or react. Do you understand? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because it's not even about you getting over it fast. It's like, once you react like that, the people, they don't want to deal with, you know what I mean? Like, the other person that receives that, you might have moved on, but they didn't. So there's like almost like a lot of cleanup. And so, again, that's in a succeedant house. It's in the 8th, and the 8th is kind of difficult. So it's almost like you're not even seeing it might feel like you don't have control over that impulse. And a way you can get control and bring more of that Libra energy is to surround yourself with Venusian type of things.
Yes.
So be super feminine. It looks like your profile picture that you're super sexy, so that's good. Because that's going to attract them, but also surround you in your house. Put, I don't know what color your walls are, but if you need to go pink, do it.
Yes.
If you need to surround yourself with more Venus loving energy, do it. That's going to bring more feminine energy. And I hope I don't offend anyone. Like, I know there's all these, pronoun situations going on, but feminine and masculine has nothing to do with male and female. It's just the energy. So bring that energy to your home and your surroundings to kind of tone that down a little bit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you both very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, cool. And we have Ashley.
Hello.
Thank you for being so patient.
Of course. And I PTR'd like my just the list there, and I was really wondering, because I was studying today, and I'm really wondering about this Uranus in because you're talking about the fifth house, and I see a lot going on with like the fifth house for me, and I was wondering about how Uranus in that Sag, is it in the fifth house? Hold on.
Yeah, Uranus looks like it's in the fifth house.
Yes. And then so I see also Jupiter, and I know those are like, I don't know, they seem kind of like heavy to me. I'm trying to figure out if you have any insight or if anything's coming to you from looking at.
Why do you feel they're heavy? Because Jupiter in the fifth is actually good in the sign of Sagittarius.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm feeling, I'm feeling it's heavy because I feel like I'm learning a lesson here or something. And like, I don't feel bad, but I feel like, I guess I feel the pressure of being like tied down and always having to like explain why this is not correct for me.
Yeah.
Is your Saturn, when you feel heavy, is it Saturn's in the fourth, heavy like in family issues? Like, what are you feeling heavy about in particular?
Like in a relationship, because I feel like currently, because I feel like I'm in like a really good relationship, but I feel like it always is kind of like that. It's like really good, and then the person really is okay with like, just hanging on to me and being, and even if we talk about the fact that I have this Aquarius moon, right? And everything you were saying about the Cancer in the chart, because I have Cancer Venus, Cancer rising. So when you're talking to Andrea, and I'm a Gemini, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like it's a little shifted, right? But I'm like feeling all of these.
I feel you, sis. I feel you.
Yeah, I think so Capricorn rules your seventh. So there's the ability to maybe attract partners that are serious and want to plan, and it could even be older people. Saturn's in the fourth, so that energy probably was already with you when you were a child. Maybe it was a heavy energy that you felt as a child, and maybe you don't want to feel heavy, especially if you have Moon in Aquarius needs freedom. I have Moon in Aquarius. You'll never be completely domesticated. Like, you always need something for yourself. So if and then your Jupiter's in the fifth house in Sagittarius. Fifth house is like romance and dating and children and fun. That wants to be free as well. So I think for you need someone that's actually kind of fun and not so serious all the time, but still committed. Like, you don't want someone that's like a fuckboy, for lack of a better reason, or woman, who you prefer. But I think it's more of someone that kind of understands that free, especially as a Gemini sun. You don't like boring people. So do you feel like you're attracting codependent partners? Like, give us a little more insight on there.
I definitely feel like I attract like fun people, and then because of my lack of boundaries and stuff like that, or not being able to speak up for myself in the past, it becomes codependent because I'm like empathetic, and I was like this unhealthy empath, So now I'm really, so much better and still working on boundaries, and I have this like seriousness to me too, and also this like fun side, and but I do feel like when I find myself in relationships, even though there's like all this fun there, the other person is really like, okay, cool, like it's just you and me now, even though, and not in a controlling way though, like in a like, I'm okay with this kind of way, and I'm like, but there's still, you know, I'm cool with this too, and I need like all this other stuff, and of course I believe that's okay, and I'm like, and I guess that's like all the stuff I'm feeling now, you know.
Well, what I saw like immediately was your sun, and actually I prefer the chart, just FYI in the future. Because I get like when I see the chart and the aspects, I'm like boom, boom, like really quickly. This way I have to think.
I'm like a visual person. Like I need to see the yeah, but we can work with it.
We could work with it, but I can't. You know, it's just faster for me, easier, because I think you had your chart up before. Either way, what I saw was your sun is exact opposition to Jupiter and Uranus, and I was asking, why does she focus on that? And it's an exact. Okay, and it's an exact opposition to it. So, your energy, how others see it, it's actually very, very, very vibrant. They like see you and they're like, oh, look at this outgoing, bubbly personality person. Maybe not in those words because, you know, whatever language they use, but they immediately see that Jupiterian energy, because Jupiter is opposing your sun. So it's part of your sun. It's a harder lesson for you to learn, but it is part of it. And then you have Uranus there that's very unpredictable. So even though you love being in relationships, you also love freedom. So really what's going on here is you have to find that nice balance, because your moon is also in a sign that loves freedom. So you need to have like it, but Cancer's attached. So you need to have that energy where you do attach to a relationship and you do have them there, but then you can do whatever you want to do. So my advice to you is get with people that want to adventure a lot with you, because you're going to want to crab like the Cancer energy that you have. You're going to want to be at home and cozy up sometimes, but then there's other times that you want to be spontaneous and not be at home, or do different things with, just say, your friends, and not feel like the relationship is tying you down and holding you back. And you have a very dynamic energy in your chart, which not a lot of people are going to be like you. And I think that's where the struggle is coming from, because you're not going to meet a lot of people with that, all that element diversity that you have going on with the moon in Aquarius and Sagittarius sun. And then you have that Cancer ascendant that kind of wants to ground things down.
Are you in a committed relationship now?
Yes, I am. However, I've really communicated all these things. Like we've talked about, like, because I was even on a debate about polyamory versus monogamy, and like, I'm just so all that Sagittarius stuff. So, you know, at this point, I'm very out there about, like, I've had relationships with women and all kinds of stuff. So it's like, I'm, you know, it has to be like that. And I guess I'm just looking for, like, yes, exactly what you were saying, like what in the chart, because I'm like so into studying the chart, and I'm like, okay, where is this feeling coming from? I know it's correct for me, right? Because it doesn't feel bad. It's all over the place, but it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I want to read it, you know, I want to like figure it out. And yeah, y'all are saying it so perfectly. I love talking to people who are really fluent with it, like a story, and understanding it. So thank you.
No.
And also, I think you're. I feel like you have the ability. Like, I feel like you probably attract people that other people wish they would attract. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Because the Pluto with the Pluto's super close to Saturn, and Pluto's magnetism, and like it's like they're drawn to you. The Saturn is the exalted, and it's the ruler of the seventh. It's almost like when you decide what you want, and you emotionally like, okay, this is what I want, you'll probably be able to get it, because those planets are actually in good aspect to your moon, even though it's in the 8th, and then the moon rules your first. So you'll be able to track what you want. I think it's more about, if you know you're in a relationship, it's not what you want right now, don't hold on to it just for the sake of it. So not sure if that resonates.
Oh, it totally does. And it's great confirmation too for like everything, the way my whole life has gone. and really just like communicating, like being super honest about like everything I'm feeling and going through, and I'll just continue to do that, because it's almost like my whole life has been, oh my gosh, I found you. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm the most amazing person ever, but like you said, I have all these dynamics, and usually when I meet someone, they're very like happy, and I'm like, I'm happy too, and there's more, right? And it's not a lack of anything that's going on currently, it's just like the journey of my life. It's pretty much always been this way. So that's
I would work. I think the most challenging aspect that you have in your chart, so it's that Sun and Jupiter. And now that I see your chart, you also have Mars and the Sun conjunct. Like literally, you have Mars Cazimi, I think, if I see the seconds right. Yeah, the minutes right, I mean. So that's one of the challenges. But the other one is Pluto and Venus, and Saturn and Venus. And when that happens, it delays satisfaction of love, but eventually you find it, because any aspect is better than no aspect. So Saturn is going to solidify, but it's also going to purge and like get rid of people that are not suited for you. So you'll end up dating a lot and exploring your sexuality, because that is what Pluto is. Pluto is this, sexuality, and rules the sexual organs. And Venus is also another sex planet. So it's all about kind of finding yourself sensually, and Saturn is there to kind of like weave things out for you. Like, nope, this is not working. But eventually you'll find it.
That makes so much sense. And thank you. And it's funny because like nowadays my languaging is always like, all right, like, so I'm glad, like, I'm in this as long as it's good.
Yeah.
As long as it's good. Because I can't make promises about the future. I know better. It's like, I'm here as long as it's good. Because you don't want me when it's not good. You don't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Thank you.
Totally get you. I have Pluto and Saturn and Mars in the 4th, so I know what you're talking about. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Tamerri and I are finishing up this room. Thank you so much. We'll be here next week.
Thank you. Don't forget to follow us on here and Insta. We have YouTubes. We have all the links in I think most of our IG. So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it and love this Venus Friday space.
Yes. And make sure you guys set some intentions. Maybe not, it doesn't have to be something big, but because Venus is forming a new cycle, this is going to reset love. This is going to reset money. This is going to reset self-worth. So you can journal, you can do a little ritual, whatever you feel like doing, do it now. You have until like, I want to say till Wednesday. That would be pushing it. I would rather you do it by Monday. So between now and Monday, because we're going to have the full moon on the weekend. So on Sunday, you want to do it before then. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Tamerri.